friends, welcome back to my channel, where again, tragically, we are lacking pink Muppet hands today, but never fear, we have some good information coming today. I wanted to take you guys through a tour of what my finished Kickstarter pages for enamel pins look like. A lot of people told me that the enamel pin video I made last week was really helpful for them, and it was something that they'd been looking to get into, so I wanted to do a follow-up on that, and I also just launched a Kickstarter yesterday. When you're watching this, you'll be seeing the preview page in this video, but it's going to look the same, more or less, but by the time I release this, it will have been launched. So, I want to go over basically what graphics you need to make if you want to make an enamel pin Kickstarter, if you want to get started. So yeah, this is my last Kickstarter actually. I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly, but basically, so you need your graphic, and you can find the dimensions this needs to be pretty easily. Kickstarter graphic dimensions. So, you can find the dimensions really quickly. It's a 16:9 ratio, and a lot of platforms like, I believe Adobe Spark and Canva have those built in. So you need something like that. For these pin mock-ups, I showed you guys in the last video how to make the enamel pin in Adobe Illustrator. Sorry I didn't have a video last week, by the way. My cat got sick and I was taking care of her, so I didn't have time to make one. But the good news is I have several videos in the chamber now, so you guys will have plenty of things to enjoy. But to make these mock-ups, I just take the Illustrator file, I export it as a transparent PNG, and then I put it into Photoshop. I put a clipping mask over it with these two white lines to make it look like it's shiny, and I put them on soft light. And then I believe on this one I did a little outer bezel to make it look three-dimensional as well. So let's scroll through the page. So this is a finished Kickstarter that I did in March and delivered at the beginning of this month. So these were these cute little elephant pins. I'll put them up on the screen now. I do have them for sale in my Etsy shop, hint hint. So a lot of people, for Kickstarters, for cleanliness, they make these little header graphics, which are the same width, I believe, as your header. And Kickstarter's pretty good about auto-stretching things to fit their pages as well, I've noticed. So I put a little introduction to the pin. The inspiration for it was a meme that was going around that has since been discredited, but I still thought it was cute, so I made it a pin. You want to be very clear about what people are going to get. I'm going to go through this one quickly because I want to show you the one for the Link and Zelda pins more. I put some stretch goals on this one, and then when they were unlocked, I went ahead and I put a white soft light layer over it and put unlocked on it, so the original graphics aren't here. I'll show you what they looked like on the other Kickstarter. I put a little introduction to myself, a sample of my previous work. This pin is also available on my Etsy. I'll have links in the description. Timeline, funding structure, and a thank you. So let me show you this Kickstarter I learned a lot from, and I actually added a few more things to this one. So let me go ahead into preview mode here, and I'll show y'all what my current Kickstarter looks like, and the things that I learned from the last one I will describe as well. So these are the two pins I'll be kickstarting, Breathe and Silent Princess. They're based off of Breath of the Wild. I ended up, from the video version, zooming this pin in a little bit, so to speak. I had to do a lot more than just zoom in, but I had to make a lot of these elements bigger in order to fit them all. So when you're making an enamel pin, 0.3 millimeters is the smallest detail you can do. Anything smaller than that has to be screen printed. So I changed some areas to be screen printed on the Master Sword and these flowers, and I just made some other areas larger and moved them closer together to get a better design. I actually like it a lot better now. I think it's a much cleaner design. So let's move on. So this is my header graphic, which I might tweak a little bit before I post this, just because I realized just now that these pins don't look like they're the same size. I'm pretty sure they are, but they don't look like it, so I might make this one a little smaller before I launch. So at the very top, you'll see this on a lot of Kickstarters, especially for enamel pins, that shipping to the UK is confusing, so we'll have a separate Etsy link. This will have a link here when y'all see it if you go to the actual Kickstarter link, which is in the description, but I haven't activated it yet because my Kickstarter in real time doesn't launch until tomorrow. I'm speaking to you from the past. And that is because the UK in January of 2021 changed their VAT tax laws, and now they require people to remit them themselves. It's very confusing, but the very short version is that Etsy will do it automatically for you unless you're using a print-on-demand service. So if it's something you ship yourself, you can put it on Etsy and they will collect the VAT for you. So I made an alternate listing for my Etsy just for the UK, and a lot of enamel pin Kickstarters do that these days. So that's your first thing to keep in mind if you want to do enamel pin Kickstarters. So the first section here is my inspiration for the pin again. The last one was a meme. This one's Breath of the Wild, and also Breathe Songs from the Wild, which is a fan musical project I've been helping with that you can follow at botwmusical.tumblr.com. And then the next section I have here is the things you can get, and I'll go over the tier lists with you guys too, just to show you like what that looks like in the back end. So I always like to do stickers with my enamel pins because I always do my designs usually in watercolor first or make them into watercolor paintings at some point. So I do watercolor stickers. These ones are just going to be ones that I print at home and seal personally. I got them professionally produced last time, but I found that they were kind of expensive. I only did it that way because I wanted a holographic finish on them. That was one of my stretch goals last time. I don't think that a holographic finish would look right on these particular designs, so we're just going with regular vinyl stickers. I will seal them to make them waterproof, and they'll be the same kinds of stickers I sell on my store. And those are pretty durable. I have a very nice sticker paper that I use, and I'll make them on my Cricut. So those are the basic tiers, the first two stickers, because those are easy to produce and a lot of people like them. And then here's the actual pins themselves. I might tweak these graphics too. I think I need to make the Silent Princess one a little smaller. It's too big. So on your graphic here, you want to put how tall the pins are or how wide, like what their largest dimension is, what they're plated in. So these are going to be gold pins, how many back posts you have. I'm allowing upgrades to spring locks on this Kickstarter, so I have that as an add-on, and I'll show you guys where you put those in. And on this one, I'm letting people choose whether they want an A grade pin or a B grade pin so that I can sell both. And then under here, I put a brief summary basically of what was up here for people using screen readers. And I actually do that on all of my graphics. I put a little something down there that gives the same information. So this is the same thing for the Silent Princess pin. I put a little note here because there's a lot of changes that happen in manufacturing to pin designs, from color selection to areas that are too small to fill. So I put a note here that the designs are not final and they're subject to change. And also this is a computer mock-up and the real pins are going to look different than a mock-up. That's just the nature of making things. So that's something important to have in there. I only have 2 stretch goals for this particular Kickstarter. And they are custom backing cards, which I order as business cards, and then if I need to trim them to size, I make the design have a blank space on the bottom ahead of time. I usually do double-sided so I can put instructions for the locking pinbacks on the back, but I think I'll print those separately this time since they are optional. And then I made a mini pin that is a board filler pin. It has the same information as the bigger pins. These ones are sold ungraded. They're so small that it would be hard to see a lot of mistakes, and on any that have obvious mistakes, I'm just not going to sell them at all. So these are a stretch goal that people can add on if we unlock it. It's just a little mini board filler pin. I hope we do, because I think these are really cute. If we don't end up unlocking those, I might still make them at some point in the future as maybe a necklace. Let me know in the comments if you think that would be fun, because I think those would be really cute. So since I'm allowing people to buy pins by grade on this one, a lot of people who are casual pin collectors don't really know what pin grading is. So I have an explanation here and a breakdown. These are the same graphics I use on my Etsy store. So pin grading is a product quality system. It is basically when a pin maker gets their pins in. So an artist gets it and they open it up. You're going to be checking for issues with the enamel, like underfill, overfill, areas that are tarnished in some way, or dust that got stuck in the resin. All enamel pins are made by hand, so there's just a lot of natural imperfections that you can get in any given pin. So A grades are the highest quality that I sell, and then B grades are slightly less. But honestly, I only ever really buy B grade pins for myself because generally speaking, I find that they're very nice looking anyway. And especially from a distance, they look nice, and I prefer to put my pins on my bag. Stressed out if I had an A grade pin on my bag and all the time was like, oh no, what if it gets damaged while I'm out and about? I'm not a big collector person in general. I don't really mind if things are in mint condition, so I like B grades personally, and they are a bit cheaper. So I have an explanation of that there. A lot of people doing Kickstarters only do A grades, so you wouldn't necessarily need this breakdown if you're only doing A grade pins, but it's something I recommend if you want to have both options there. Explain what it is, because a lot of people don't know what it is. I didn't know what that meant until about 6 months ago myself. So on this one, I have add-ons. On my first Kickstarter, this wasn't available to everyone yet. It was still in beta, but add-ons were, I think, sent to, you know, the main Kickstarter population. So I added a bunch of different things, and by a bunch, I mean a few. So basically, you can add on extras of any of the basic things. So you could get extra stickers or extra pins. I did limit the number of extra pins you can order because I want to make sure I don't have too many pins that I have to ship out. And then I also added spring clutch backs, and I'll show you guys how to do this in the back end as well, but the graphic I just made in Photoshop the same as the rest. I made this template using a stock photo and some rectangles. And I got these fonts from zeldauniverse.net, .org.com. I don't know which one it is. I'll put it on the screen and I'll roast myself when I do. I also put instructions on how to use locking pinbacks here because some people are a little confused the first time they use them. I know I was. So this isn't my video link here, but I put it here, and I put it on the backs of my backing cards for pins where I ship them with all of that. And I put it on the backing card of my last Kickstarter's pins because I had spring clutch backs on that one as a stretch goal, so everybody on that Kickstarter got those. So funding structure, this is an important part of Kickstarters, and you're going to get all of this information when you're doing your budget, which I can show you what that spreadsheet looks like. It is one that Kickstarter generates for you. But this is a pretty common breakdown percentage-wise for enamel pin Kickstarters that don't have other things like washi tapes or sticker sheets. So about 65% is going to go to actual production of the pins and the stickers. The stickers, since I'm printing them myself, I'm able to keep the costs pretty low on, which is good. I have a very good printer with very economical ink, and it prints well, so I'm happy about that. 25% of my funding will go to shipping and packaging. It's something a lot of people don't know. When you back a Kickstarter, the amount you pay for shipping goes towards the goal as well on like the ticker and on whether or not Kickstarter lets you have your project funded. So you have to build this into your budget because it's going into your final numbers there. In my last Kickstarter, I didn't really understand how much shipping cost and how much packaging specifically cost. So now that I have more experience, I was able to calculate that more accurately. And I would say expect about 25% of your budget at least is going to go towards shipping and packaging. I recommend getting like a stamps.com account or something so that you can get discounted shipping rates, especially for international, because international shipping is super expensive otherwise. And then 10% goes to platform fees, 5% goes to Kickstarter, and 5% goes to Kickstarter to pay the credit card company that processes the money. So payment processing costs money, Kickstarter costs money, so you're going to be building in 10% just in processing fees. And people like to see this for, you know, where's my money going? This is a good transparency thing to have. So timeline is good to have on here. This is especially good because on enamel pin Kickstarters, it's actually fairly predictable as opposed to things like game development where there's a lot of complications that can be introduced into the situation. But for enamel pins, it's generally one person running it. You are only dealing with one factory, maybe two suppliers if you have like stickers or washi tapes or whatever. So you can pretty accurately predict the timeline on an enamel pin Kickstarter to at least within a couple of weeks, give or take. So once the Kickstarter finishes, it takes a week or two for funds to actually clear from Kickstarter. So for a more expensive Kickstarter like this one, I will be waiting until my funds deposit before I place any orders, because I don't want to be holding that bag while I wait for funds to clear. And I recommend that in general, unless it's a very small amount that you're willing to risk, then you just wait for your Kickstarter funds to clear. Then you're going to be placing your pin order. It depends on the quantity, how long this is going to take, and the supplier. I gave myself a bit of a cushion here of 6 to 8 weeks. Generally speaking, pins don't take that long. I think 4 weeks is the average that I have personally had, maybe 3 to 4, but I wanted to give myself a cushion, particularly because this is 2 pins, this is 2 separate designs, possibly 3 if the stretch goals are cleared, and I wanted to give myself plenty of time to work out any kinks, and then 1 or 2 weeks to package and ship. This one, I am basing on, it took me 1 week to ship out everything from my last Kickstarter, and I did it all by myself. This time around, if I have a lot more orders, I can get my wife and my in-laws to help, hopefully, just stuffing envelopes and all that good stuff. So then your target date is going to be late July, early August, adding all of these onto the lead time of the Kickstarter itself. Hopefully I calculated that correctly. Also, shout out to my friend Alex for helping me format this section. I originally just kind of had a big paragraph here, and he suggested breaking it down into a nice bulleted list, and it looks so much better. Here's my introduction section. Again, I have the same one here that I had on my last one, except it's slightly more updated, because last time I'd only made 1 pin. Now I've made several. And I have a picture of the last Kickstarter pin I made. I just love this picture in general, so I use it for a lot of my promotional stuff. And then I have a little link to my portfolio down there at the bottom, which I do need to update. And then I've got my thank you, let's make something awesome. And then risks and challenges. This is similar to what I had on the last one, but basically you want to disclose anything that could go wrong, basically. Foreseen complications. There's a lot of COVID-related shipping delays out of China right now, and that is where almost all enamel pins are made. So there may be things that are confusing there in the supply chain, or there may be delays in the supply chain, and that's okay. Just let them know here. I do, however, have 5 years of experience working in supply chain. I work in manufacturing as my day job, so I am decent at communicating with manufacturers at least, so hopefully that's good. And something I like to put on mine is a Nintendo saying that a delayed product will eventually be good, but a rushed product will be bad forever. So I try to be transparent whenever I have delays for that reason. So let's take a quick look at the back end of this Kickstarter, just so you guys can see like where you program in all of your tiers and your add-ons. But this is basically what you're going to want your page to look like for enamel pins. I based my layouts off of dozens of other enamel pin Kickstarters that came before me. So I want to show you all. Let's go back to the funding goal. So first off, when you start a Kickstarter, you get this little spreadsheet that you can make. View spreadsheet, generate spreadsheet, and you can put in all of your costs and things like that in the back end, and it will spit out your estimated funding goal. So you're going to be putting in your production costs, packaging costs. If you have research and development costs for enamel pins, I don't do this, but you could put basically the cost that you want to pay yourself. I am investing some of my own money and a lot of my time into this, so I don't put anything there. Production costs, I got quotes from a vendor or two, and I decided to go with one of the more expensive ones actually to see how their quality is, because I like how they communicate, and they're very good in the designing for manufacturing and proofing process. So I'm going to be using their pricing here. Packaging pricing and shipping pricing are estimates based on my last Kickstarter. So that's all of this. And then there's a section for your fees where you can estimate things. For taxes, it's going to depend on your state, your country, on a lot of other factors. And then you set your funding goal based on that. You don't have to set it at this. Basically, I calculated how much money I was willing to invest in the project myself, and I subtracted that from the overall goal. So here's your tiers. So my cheapest tiers are my sticker tiers. It's $3 for one sticker or $5 for both of them. And then I've got my B grade pin, A grade pin, and you can calculate shipping costs and stuff in here too, or rather enter in shipping costs. So if you want to put things international shipping, your country in that, you want to calculate these. I calculated these based on my last Kickstarter and shipping stuff internationally in general, so I have some experience doing that. And I kind of averaged it out for this end cost. And I built in $1 or $2 of buffer just in case. So, you know, you can limit your quantity if you're like, I don't want to make 1,000 pins here. I'm only planning to produce, say, 200. You can limit the number that are available because I don't think I could fulfill more than 200 to 500 pins myself. So these are all of your tiers, and you'll see over here, some of them have a list of items. For some of these, like one A grade pin or one sticker, they're going to have to choose from these items, and they don't have a way to do that in Kickstarter until you're sending out surveys at the end. So those I leave blank, but for things that have several items, I put those in the list. And then you have your add-on section up here where you can put, you know, extras. So the spring clutch back upgrade, extra vinyl stickers, the mini flower pin I have deactivated right now, and I'll activate this if we hit that stretch goal. Extra B grade pins, extra A grade pins, and I do have these limited as well. I think you can only add on 1 or 2 of each of the additional pins just so I can get accurate production numbers. And yeah, that's basically it. All of these other sections are like personal information that you're going to put in. People is if you have other collaborators, which for enamel pins is unusual. Payment is where you put in like your bank info and your real name and tax information. And promotion is where you get your links to promote your project. So yeah, that's basically it. I thank you all for watching this video. I hope it was helpful for you, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.